Welcome to Avatar Nation, a podcast all about the Netflix live adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Whether you're a longtime fan, like us, or you're new to the Avatarverse, join us as we dive into each episode and analyze the retelling of TV's greatest adventure. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Avatar Nation. I'm your host, Pauline.
And I'm Wes. And welcome to our very first episode ever.
Oh, yeah, baby. Now, if you couldn't tell already, this is a podcast where we will be discussing the new Netflix adaptation episode by episode, and we're doing it spoiler-free. So, whether you have been a fan from the very beginning or you're watching Avatar for the very first time, not to worry, this podcast is for you. But while we eagerly await the show's premiere, we wanted to do sort of like a pre-premiere podcast episode. Consider it kind of like our pilot episode, right? But we wanted to first let our listeners get to know us and why we love Avatar so much. We'll talk about what we know of the new show and discuss our expectations with it. We'll watch the trailer and talk about that. And then we'll also take time to read and respond to some listener comments, because we did have people from all over that gave us comments already and their expectations. So we'll take some time to do that.
I am super excited to get into it with the commentators. But before we get into that, we want to invite you to subscribe to this podcast. We don't want you to miss out on any new episodes. And make sure to tell your Avatar-loving friends about us. That way they can join in the conversation. All right, Pauline. Are you ready to get into this episode?
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know us, which is most of you, you're probably wondering, who are these randos in their 30s that's discussing Avatar: The Last Airbender? So yeah, we just wanted to better introduce ourselves. Wes and I have been married it'll be 10 years this June. Can you believe it?
Feels like 20.
It feels like 20. But we actually met through musical theater one summer at our local community theater. We do have a daughter. Her name is Zoe.
Zoe Bear, love you.
And she loves Avatar just as much as we do. So we are a family of Avatar fans. And we are actually coming to you from Missouri, not too far from Kansas City. And as many of you know, it's kind of the hub of all things Chiefs and Taylor Swift right now.
That's a long sigh.
A long sigh. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you guys have been living under a rock. But we're actually recording right now just several days away from the Super Bowl. That's this upcoming Sunday. But this episode won't come out till after the Super Bowl, so that'll be interesting. And even though we live near Kansas City, Wes is not a Chiefs fan, are you?
I despise the Chiefs. We can get into that, but
who are you rooting for then? This is how much I don't know about football, because I have to ask you, who's even playing in the Super Bowl?
Let's see. It doesn't matter who's playing the Chiefs. That's who I'm rooting for. Which is the 49ers. But go San Francisco.
There you go. And shout out to any of our Kansas City listeners, though now they probably don't like us after you saying that. But
it's all about love.
All about love. But yeah, just like I said, that's how much I don't know anything about sports. Actually, for those listening, just know that Wes and I, we're complete opposites, wouldn't you say?
What do you mean, like opposite of peanut butter and jelly?
Opposites. Oh, I like that. Opposites that attract, because I feel like we have very different interests and different tastes, but I say we balance each other out, like peanut butter and jelly. I like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm more of like the nerdy one, and you are not as much. Wouldn't you say?
Where would that put me?
I don't know. You're coming around, though. You are nerdy more in the sense of like Marvel and some video games.
Yes, I'm a Marvel nut. And I only play one video game.
Which is, I don't even have to ask.
You don't have to ask. You, sir, are a fish.
So yes, how long have you been playing Red Dead Redemption?
Red Dead Redemption. Let's see, I'm on my 9th playthrough. You heard that right.
Oh my gosh.
You heard that right. I mean, that's a lot of numbers to go through. But yes, I love that game. But we also have a lot of things in common when we watch TV shows.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We do love nerding out about TV shows together. You know, besides Avatar, there's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, which I can't wait for that to come back.
The Witcher.
The Witcher, though we did kind of fall off the wagon with the most recent season. We need to jump back into it, but I think I'm just haven't been feeling it because of Henry Cavill, not going to be in the next season.
You got to get past that because here's what I'm saying. Pass a coin to your Witcher, okay? I don't know what that means, but
the song?
Pass it. Yeah.
Pass a coin to your Witcher.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, we need to re-binge that one.
But we also what? We like The Last of Us?
The Last of Us. That's probably the most recent one that we watched religiously. And
how great was it?
And I obsessed over
with the game because we played the games, right?
Oh yeah, well,
we sat down.
See, Red Dead's not the only game that you play.
We sat down as a family and played The Last of Us. Scared the bejesus out of me.
Both 1 and 2. So when the show came out, oh my gosh, I loved it. So I can't wait for the second season to come out. Maybe we should do a podcast about that when we get there. If we have time.
I don't know. It's too scary.
We'll see. So we love nerding out about shows. What would you say, what's it like watching TV shows with me? I've never asked you this, but only because I feel like I'm not aware of what I'm like when I'm watching TV with other people.
Plug your wife's ears because I'm going to say my wife likes to, as we're watching, she's asking questions about what we're watching. And it's like, we're watching at the same time. You're watching what I'm watching. How would I know the answer to what you're asking?
But it's like a rhetorical question. I'm just asking, okay? But you, while we're watching...
I said, babe, hold on. I'm sure they're going to answer your question.
But then there's you, while we're watching shows, it's like you point out where you've seen somebody from before.
I'm pretty good with voices.
Yes, Wes can close his eyes while watching a show and know who's the voice actor or who's talking. You have a knack for that, and you know everybody, whereas I'm like, who is that? But I don't know. I think you're kind of starting to rub off on me. I'm starting to recognize more and more people. Yes. So, and also you watch with the volume at like 100 infinity, whereas I like to keep the volume down.
I agree. The volume keeps me engaged.
And I prefer to watch with subtitles and you don't. See, I said, we are opposites. Peanut butter and jelly.
I feel like reading is just more work.
For every...
Although as I'm getting older, I do enjoy knowing what they say.
As your eyes as your ears get older.
I think I know what they said, and I was completely wrong.
I'm just saying, for every person that watches with subtitles, they're married to somebody that watches with the volume at like 100.
If they don't
and they
want
marry
the TV
each other
to be that high, why can't it go that high?
For deaf people like you, obviously.
Test the limits. So let's talk about Avatar specifically. So how old were you when you first watched Avatar, and what did it mean to you?
For me? Okay, so I grew up with Avatar from the start. I'm pretty sure when it came out, I was the same age as Aang is in the show. So I'm pretty sure I was 12 years old. So that was pretty cool, being the same age as the main character. And it meant a lot to me growing up because, for those that don't know me, I'm Filipino. And before Avatar, I don't think there was any show that I had watched as a kid that had characters that kind of looked like me or sounded like me or had references that I could relate to until Avatar came out. And I also thought it was pretty cool that this was a Nickelodeon show that had this overarching storyline and plot, whereas other Nickelodeon shows, they were always more episodic. And each episode was kind of its own story, whereas with Avatar, it was this big, grand storyline that was also kind of mature for its audience, and that's not something that Nickelodeon did at that time. It was just absolutely beautiful and had more representation and diversity, and then it wasn't until I don't think it was until years later whenever I realized that one of the voice actors for Zuko, which is Dante Basco, finding out that he's voiced by somebody who's also Filipino. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Bangarang!
Oh, yes, that's right. Rufio in Hook.
So good. I love that movie so much.
Well, then what about you then? How old were you whenever you first watched Avatar? Because I thought it wasn't until you were an adult.
I was only a couple years older than you, but I have to stop and say that you must have really thought about this, or that you were a sophisticated kid, because Aang was a BA. Okay, that's when I seen that as a kid, I was like, I want to be.
You want to be Aang?
I want to be the Avatar.
Of course you did.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that's why I like Marvel, right? You want to be a superhero. Aang is a superhero, and that's what I looked at when I was a kid. I was like, this is amazing. And he had an awesome group of friends. But yeah, I wasn't much older than you when I started. I would stay home, from school because I was sick,
Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds
cough,
like you.
That fever. But love you, Mom.
Question for you. Did you have friends that watched Avatar? Or did they even know about it?
I'm sure they did. When I was younger, I didn't share. We didn't share what we were watching.
Really? Like you didn't have friends come over to watch cartoons, or is this because you were watching it when you were sick? Quote unquote.
Yeah, I was definitely sick. No, I didn't really share with my friends what I was watching, but I was really sporty, so we were more into, when I was with my friends, more, what
into
game was on.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Were you like embarrassed maybe to talk about it, or it just didn't?
Oh yeah, they were like, anime, we don't watch anime. Is Avatar anime?
See, that's the big debate. There are some people that say yes, it's anime because of the style, anime. But then there are others who will debate that it's not, because for it to be anime, it has to be a Japanese cartoon. So I don't know. I consider it anime inspired, or at least that's how I considered it growing up, but I could be wrong. I don't know. So, but yeah.
What I did enjoy as I got older was watching it with you and Bear.
Bear being our daughter Zoe. Yeah, that's kind of how we.
Oh, and I have to say, this is going to be very controversial.
Oh no!
I'm going to be honest with you, all of you. When the movie came out, which my wife says the movie that shall not be named, I enjoyed it. What's your take?
Blasphemy. Okay, right now, what you are saying, there are people at home that they're just hearing static. They don't know what you're saying. For those who don't know or have never seen the live action movie, I don't even remember what year it came out, by M. Night Shyamalan, we consider that across the fandom, we call it the movie that shall not be named, or the movie that doesn't exist, because it was...
I'm not saying it holds up now, but
it was bad,
when it came out and I was younger... I enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm hearing this. But we won't get too much into the movie right now, because we could do a whole episode on the movie and what I consider was wrong with it. But let me just tell you guys this, okay? So back in 2019, I think it was either 2019 or 2020, I don't know. But Netflix had added the Avatar movie to their platform. And we were just scrolling through and we came across it. And I think you were like, oh yeah, that was a great movie. And I legit thought that you were just joking. I thought you were saying sarcastically, playing into the joke. It was like, okay, haha, yeah, sure. But then shortly after that, I come into the room and you have it playing on the TV with our daughter watching it. She had never seen the original cartoon before. She didn't really know anything about it. I can't remember how old she was at this time. But to my horror, her first exposure to Avatar was the movie that doesn't exist.
Liked it.
So I'm not going to lie. I considered divorce at that point in time. Like,
I am holding my tongue. It was a good movie, right?
It was
not now, but I don't know. I don't even know how to justify why I did that, but
Yeah. And so from that moment forward, I had vowed that we were going to watch the original cartoon together so that Zoe could see it.
And it's been on every night since.
Yes. So I think it was 2019. We had signed up for some kind of like Nickelodeon trial. This was before Paramount Plus became a thing.
Well before.
Yes. And so we signed up for a trial because I couldn't find anywhere that it was streaming. I didn't want to necessarily buy the whole thing. So we signed up for like a 7-day Nickelodeon trial. I don't even remember what platform it was on. So then we had like a week to just binge watch the whole thing, which wasn't hard because each episode was only like 30 minutes. So we got through it pretty quickly. And then that's how we fell in love with Avatar again as a family. So, and then ever since then...
It was magical. It's consumed our lives in a great way. And I feel like the show really gave Zoe values that if you look beyond the show in her life and in our life, really, that's why we love Avatar so much.
Yeah, it has a lot of like good values to learn because it's a kid's show, but it's not a kid's show because to be honest, even watching it as adults, when we were rewatching it with her, there are still a lot of things in it that are still really relevant to today. And then things that I feel like I appreciated even more watching as an adult that may have just gone over my head as a kid. It's a very, very mature show, in my opinion. So
let's tell them about, what we dress up for for Halloween.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So since watching it, we've done family Halloween costumes. There was one year that I dressed up as Azula and Zoe was Toph, and then you were Ember.
Also Toph.
He was Ember Island player Toph because he and Zoe couldn't decide who was going to be Toph. They both wanted to be Toph, so they were both Toph. And then the year after that, we were Kyoshi warriors, but then Zoe was Janora, and then our dog Baymax, he was a baby Appa because he was still a puppy at that time.
I'm sure the listeners would love to see a picture of me as a warrior.
Oh yes, we'll have to throw that up on our social media because that wig on you. Oh my goodness. And since then we've also watched The Legend of Korra, which was something we watched for the first time all together because I had never seen Korra. So we went through all that together. I've read some of the comics, though not all of them. I haven't gotten into the novels yet, but I definitely will. So while we know Avatar like the back of our hands, we don't know it all. We don't know everything. So if there's anything we misspeak about, don't come at us. I mean, let us know if there's something we need to be corrected on, but do it kindly. Okay, so now that we've talked about just our personal love for Avatar, Wes, why don't you tell everybody why we decided to start this podcast?
Well, we started this podcast because, as you know, as a husband, when your wife calls you or texts you with an idea, you might as well just go along with it. She was super excited. And I was hoping it wasn't going to be one of those, hey, we should do this. And then she burns herself out in a week or two.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I have seen that she is super excited about going through this process, and she's done an amazing job. So thank you, Pauline.
Oh, that's so kind. I wasn't prepared for your kind words. Yeah. So you didn't think that I was
Well, it's like, serious? Hey, we should do yoga. Let's get all the things to do yoga, and then
all the things to grow plants.
Oh, yes. Sorry, plants.
So yeah, we've started this little fun side project, and we wanted to do it because we wanted to share our appreciation for all things Avatar and find other people to talk Avatar with and hopefully build a community around this, because I think this is one of the greatest fandoms out there, and it's one of the biggest fandoms as well. So I want to just be able to nerd out with others. Like I said, we don't know everything. I would love to learn from other people as well, things that maybe we don't know, and discuss it. And then also I wanted to be able to extend the conversation a little bit more. And what I mean by that is Netflix is known to drop episodes of shows all at once because that's Netflix. People are going to Netflix. People are going to binge, in a day or in a weekend. and then on to the next show. Whereas I feel like with other streaming platforms like HBO, for example, they'll do episode by episode, which, hot take, I prefer that it doesn't all get released at once, because I feel like when it does get dropped all at once, people move on too fast, and it's on to the next thing.
It's that short attention span. Exactly.
But whenever it's episode by episode, it's at least everybody that's watching, we're all on the same page. Like we're all typically on the same episode. We talk about it while we wait for the next episode to drop. And I feel like doing that makes the conversation last so much longer. And just like with The Last of Us, I liked the conversations around The Last of Us because we were all talking about the same things. There weren't a whole lot of spoilers. So that's just my take on it. What do you think?
Well, so what you're saying is we're only going to watch one episode a week?
We're going to discuss one episode a week because not everybody has time to sit down in one weekend and watch an entire season of a show, because we are all busy. We have jobs. We have families. So I want to be able to just enjoy a show at my own pace and be able to discuss it at length.
What about a show that you know the ending of?
You mean like this, like an adaptation, or?
Yeah, right.
I think it's a little bit different because you kind of expect there to be changes. So for somebody that's already watched, like, say the original show of Avatar, we know how the story goes, but what we don't know is how Netflix is going to take that story.
So are you looking forward to some curveballs?
I am. I know not everybody is, but I am. So that's definitely something that I want to discuss with everybody. And like I said, we will do it spoiler-free, one episode at a time.
And let me just say, I am super excited to hear from everyone and to get their thoughts and feelings on this new, exciting, I feel, version that Netflix is going to put out. And I really can't wait to get into it.
Yes, and we'll also, when we discuss each episode, we'll rate and analyze each one. I want to talk about, our favorite moments, what we liked, what we didn't like.
And of course, we're going to engage with you, our listeners. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you.
Yes, so that's hopefully where we'll be able to take this podcast, is to really, like I said, create a community around it.
And make some friends.
Yeah, we want to just feel like we're talking to friends that love Avatar.
All right, so that's enough about us. Let's turn our attention to the new Netflix series. Pauline, tell us what we know.
Alrighty, so we actually heard about this live adaptation back in February of 2019, because I remember that is when we finished binging the original cartoon as a family. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I would love for this to get another chance at a live action that is better than the movie that does not exist. So I think I Googled it just to see if something came up in the news. Avatar, The Last Airbender live action, just to see if there's any whispers out there. And surprisingly, there were actually news articles about Netflix announcing their take on a live action adaptation. I think it was initially announced in September of 2018. And the original creators of the cartoon, Ryan Konietzko and Mike DiMartino, were actually hired on as executive producers and showrunners. So different from the live action movie, which I don't know had any involvement with any of like the original creators or directors. So then Brian and Mike actually spent 2 years developing the live action show for Netflix. And then they ended up leaving the project in 2020 due to quote unquote creative differences, which kind of had the fandom shook at that time because it seemed like bad news. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that the original creators not being on board, does it affect your expectations for the show?
Well, I feel like if they spent, a couple years developing, I feel like it's not, I feel like the producers and Netflix should know, their feelings and how they want the storyboard to go. Would you agree?
I think so, but I think based on the letter that the creators put out there, they basically said that whatever Netflix ends up putting out there is not going to be the story that they had planned. So after that, they left and I think went on to create Avatar Studios. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. And then sometime in 2020, so remember, pandemic year, Netflix added the original Nickelodeon cartoon to the platform. And I think that played a big role in the resurgence in popularity because, you know, in 2020, everybody was Netflixing, everybody was home.
Tiger King.
Everybody was watching Tiger King. So I think it was pretty smart for Netflix to add that. And because one, it's nostalgia. And then it drew in some new fans as well. And I think at that time, it was like trending #1 on Netflix for quite a long time. And I would say that they probably put it on Netflix to also start getting people amped up for the live action and just get people more familiar or get them reacquainted with the series ahead of this, you know, new show. But yeah, so here's what we know about the Netflix adaptation, all the nitty-gritty details. So the series is going to premiere Thursday, February the 22nd. It's going to have 8-hour-long episodes. They're all going to be dropped at once. The showrunner and the executive producer is Albert Kim. So he is known for being showrunner for Sleepy Hollow. He's written for Nikita, Dirt, and Leverage. Executive producers are Dan Lin, which he's done a couple live actions as well. Lindsay Liberatore, and then Michael Goy, who's also a director, along with Jet Wilkinson. I believe he has directed some of the Percy Jackson episodes, you know, the new adaptation that Disney Plus put out. Roseanne Lang. I apologize ahead of time for any names that I mispronounce.
Or me.
I try really hard to look up proper pronunciations, but I don't think I can get them all right. And then also Jabbar Razani is another director. And I want to note that Jabbar, he has directed for some of the Game of Thrones episodes. And the reason why I wanted to point that out is because I believe it was the showrunner who recently said in an interview that he wanted to draw in new fans and appeal to those who like Game of Thrones. So I thought I would just throw that in there. Because then when I saw that Jabbar Razani was a director, I was not surprised because of his work with Game of Thrones.
So cinematography is going to be amazing.
We'll see. I hope so. From what I've seen so far with the trailer, I think we will not be disappointed. There are some differences to expect. I don't want to get into too much of this because I know a lot of people have been debating over some of the expected differences based on some of the interviews that the cast has done and the showrunner has done. But here's the few that I wanted to point out. There is a possible time jump after this season. And this one kind of makes sense because it takes a long time to put out shows and the actors are going to get older. They are portraying really young characters, but there's just no way that, you know, the actor for Aang is going to be able to portray a 12-year-old for the entire duration of this because the whole original cartoon takes place within a year. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that a time jump makes sense, or do you prefer that they stick to the timeline?
I don't think it's... As long as the show's good, I don't mind a time jump. I guess we'll have to wait and see, just because I can't envision what that would look like.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think as long as it doesn't affect the plot too much, I could see how they could work in a time jump. So, we'll see.
I am holding my judgments.
Yes, I think I am too. And also, one of the interviews suggests that the series will also be a little less side questy. So you know how especially in book 1 of Avatar, they traveled around, were looking for like different adventures and kind of went on these side quests because it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be lighthearted. But now fans are expecting that this is going to be a little bit more streamlined, and fans are worried about Aang being too serious because in the original, he's wanting to go penguin sledding or, you know, go see koi fish. And now fans are worried that free-spirited, fun nature, adventure-loving Aang. Yeah, that he's going to be too serious now and focused on the end goal. What do you think?
I think I will not judge until I see it. I know that's not good for your our podcast.
That is such a politician's answer. No, I get it, though. I get it.
I haven't seen any evidence to where he's going to be, less innocent. Does that make sense?
I agree, because I think at this point, it's a lot of fans speculating. Because, that's all we can do at this point. We haven't seen the show just yet. We've seen trailers. Some of us have, read interviews, but...
Although if he's not riding some fish, I'm going to be kind of upset.
So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And then have you heard about Sokka's character development?
No. Do go into detail.
So based on interviews, the cast and director have mentioned that they have, I guess, toned down Sokka's sexism, which for those who haven't watched the show, I'm okay with talking about this because I don't feel like it's super spoilery because it's not a huge component of the plot. But Sokka, starts out as a more misogynistic character, but then gets put in his place, and then we move on from that. So it sounds like with this show, they may have done away with that altogether. At least that is what the fandom is speculating. If they do take it out, do you think that that's a good or bad thing?
Well, I say watching Avatar, the cartoon, right? So I watched that when I was a child. So rewatching that, I still have my child vision on. I don't...
Okay.
Okay, so there may be some sexism with Sokka, but as a child, I didn't really notice that because I was enjoying the show and getting into the characters like Aang, harken back to when I wanted to be a superhero. I was in the show, I wasn't looking at it politically or...
Yeah, it was a different time back then.
Right. So now we're going to be watching this as adults, and maybe that will be something I'll notice, but I don't think it's going to take away...
it's not going to be a big deal.
To me, it is for some people, and I don't want to, assume. I don't know. I just want to enjoy the show.
I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one because I am a sucker for good character development. And I think that in today's age, especially with characters of a TV show, we're not giving characters the chance to better themselves. Not all characters can start out perfect because it makes for boring TV, right? So when you have somebody that has flaws that works through them, then I think that makes for a more interesting series. It would have been one thing if he started out like that in the original cartoon and then never got better. So that's my take on it. Does that make sense?
I'm just excited for the show, Pauline. I'm ready for the show, and that's all I have to say about that.
Alrighty. And then what about the fact that we see Fire Lord Ozai and Azula get an expanded role? Because in the original cartoon, we don't even see Ozai's face until the third season. And we don't see Azula really until the end of season 1, except for flashbacks. So just from watching the trailers, we see that they already play a much larger presence starting out. And some people love that, some people don't, because it deviates from what the original was.
Well, I see if you're going to speed it up and get to the meat and bones of Avatar. Yeah, I can see that you have to introduce them a lot quicker.
Yeah, I think I agree. Especially since season 1 of the cartoon was a little bit more episodic and lighthearted, then maybe some of that has to be sacrificed. But I also understand people that don't want any of the lightheartedness to be sacrificed because that was part of the charm of Avatar. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting balance.
Okay.
So yeah.
So with all that mumbo jumbo out of the way, Pauline, are you ready to watch this trailer?
I am. Okay, let me get this pulled up. Okay, you ready to watch?
Let's do this.
The Fire Nation is embarked on a dark path, and the world might never recover. The world needs the Avatar.
To see that.
It needs you, Aang.
The Fire Nation has destroyed everything in their path. is going to have any
can't
chance.
wait to see
it's
the
going to
world
need
building.
Aang.
Right. There goes the savior of the world.
I've chased down every hint of the Avatar. It's my destiny.
I'm not someone who can
hey,
stop the
Zaddy.
Fire Nation. I don't want the responsibility.
You don't have to do this alone. You have me, Tara, and a flying ball of fur. What more do you need?
Aw, Momo. So cute.
The world needs you. Remember what it is we're really fighting for. The ones we love.
I'm the Avatar, and I'm gonna save the
I can't
world
wait for that episode.
with my friends.
The fight choreography looks really good too. Chills. Chills.
How does that not hype you up?
That
looks
hypes
so good.
me up. Oh my gosh. Every time I watch it, I get chills. Or every time I see some snippet of some trailer, I just get chills.
You know what I love?
What?
Is that Aang, his voice, you can, just from the trailer, he sounds so innocent.
Yeah, sweet
And-
little Aang.
He's got such a big burden. But I'm super excited to see how his character plays out.
I agree. When they first showed Gordon Cormier's the actor's name, when they first showed him as Aang, I was so excited because I could picture him as Aang. And then also, it's super cool because I'm pretty sure he's part Filipino. So the idea that, you know, our daughter, who is half Filipino, to be able to see somebody like her as Aang, as the Avatar, like that is a full circle moment for me because it's like, you know, growing up, Dante Bosco, the voice actor of Zuko, you know, knowing that he is Filipino, I thought that was so cool. And then now seeing that the person who plays Aang is also Filipino is also pretty cool to me. And I cannot wait. So what do you think?
I'm super excited. You know what I'm not excited about?
What?
Is if they're going to get to the meat and bones of it, I want to see Toph.
I know, but I think they are making a wise choice to hold off. So for those who don't know, Toph is a fan favorite, and she comes in season 2.
I know. We're supposed to do spoiler-free,
cartoon.
but
But
it gets me excited.
do you think they'll do a teaser of her?
I really hope so.
I hope so too.
Because that's going to drag me in.
Can you imagine? What do you call like the Marvel? You know, like in Marvel movies where they add that scene like after the
at
credits.
the end.
The stinger, you know, like the Marvel stingers. Oh my gosh, how cool would that be?
The
And it's
blind
like-
bandit.
But we won't talk too much about
Okay,
that.
I'll-
Some other things I wanted to point out in the trailer. I believe the one that's narrating, I'm pretty sure that's Monkey Yatso, based on some of the other trailers. So that's pretty cool. We get to hear him. And then I also noticed, did you notice the air scooter ball?
I did.
Which, like the first time that I watched the trailer, I didn't notice it at all, but I thought that was cool because that's something that's seen in the intro of the original cartoon. So that gives me hope that they'll stay at least true to the spirit of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and hopefully we'll get more little Easter eggs like that for the fans.
Let's get excited.
Yes, and then also we did see Fire Lord Ozai, or as I like to say, Zaddy Lord Ozai, because Daniel Day Kim, holy moly. I didn't think I would root for the Fire Lord at any point in time in my life, but I don't know. I might
Where are you
come
going with
over.
this?
I might come over to the Fire Nation side. When you have a Fire Lord that looks like that,
I mean, I'm right here. Jeez.
you have to admit it yourself too. Fire Lord looks He's looking pretty good.
I have no comment.
He's looking pretty good. And then
he's horrible. He's a bad guy.
But maybe I can change him.
Jeez.
So I'm excited to see Daniel Day Kim. And then we did see Azula. I noticed that she was using a bow, which I don't think she ever used a bow in the original show. Not that I recall. No. So that'll be interesting to see her use some non-bending skills. So we'll see.
I mean, all I remember is Boomerang.
Boomerang, yes, Boomerang's so iconic. I think just based on the trailer and how Sokka talks and everything, I think they'll be able to keep Sokka's humor and, you know, that lighthearted side of him. What do you think?
I think that's pretty vital to the show.
And his character. It's
the comic relief.
I agree. I hope that they put in a lot of funny moments.
That'll just be doom and gloom.
That's true.
We don't need any of that.
And then the animals as well. What do you think of the CGI for the animals?
I mean, Appa looked amazing.
Appa, Momo. We saw the
Momo.
The Shearshu.
I mean, CGI is so great now. I would be very disappointed if they weren't.
There are some shows that the CGI looks not so great, but I feel like in the trailer it looks amazing. The bending looks amazing, just all the visual effects.
Netflix CGI is going to be awesome.
Based on the trailer though, like after watching it, because I know you haven't really watched it as much as I, or was that the first time you've seen it all the way through?
That is the first time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been kind of like holding myself off.
And yeah, that's true. I get that. You don't want to consume too much before.
Yeah, like you're reading all this stuff and I'm just going with the flow.
You're along for the ride, just like with this podcast.
Yeah, I am going with the punches here, people. But
does a trailer make you feel excited now that you've seen it, or worried?
Well, the trailer is there to make you excited. If you're not excited for this, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, you're gonna have to get over some things, yes. But if you grew up watching this, you're going to have to get over some things. But be excited. It's something new. It's a new take on what we've watched as kids. But if you're new to this, that looks amazing.
Do you think it'll draw in new fans?
Of course. Why wouldn't it?
I don't know. Because there's some shows out there that it's like, well, I've never seen the original, so maybe, why bother with the remake?
I don't really know. But I mean, at watching the whole trailer for the first time, I know that I'm hyped, so... What
I want to know, though, is...
Can we say excited one more time?
Hyped, excited. I am all of it. I'm anxious, too. There's part of me that's also nervous because this is my favorite show ever.
I know. I hope next week we're not like, that was a bummer. I don't think we will.
We'll see, and obviously we'll talk about it. But what I want to know right now, before the premiere, what are your top 3 things that you're looking forward to?
I think my top 3 things I'm looking forward to just in the first episode.
Just with the series as a whole.
Top 3 things. My very top thing I'm looking for is to see the development of Aang and all that they're going to put him through. And to see if, not that it matches the cartoon, but the intensity that I got from that. Also, I'm excited to see the animals. I'm looking forward.
The animal hybrids.
I am looking forward to all those quirky names. All the animals.
I hope turtle ducks will be there. I also hope just the bear.
Yeah.
Just the bear.
Just the bear? Well, that's a spoiler.
That's not a spoiler.
That's a spoiler.
I mean, there are animals in this show. There are plenty of animals in this show, and I think with each episode, we should point some of them out. That would be cool. And just talk about them, see what we see, like an animal watch.
And the third, I think, would be Zuko and his relationship with his uncle.
Yes.
With
Uncle
to see
Iroh.
If they really hit on, Iroh and that aspect with their relationship.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good one.
How about you? What are you looking forward to? What's your top 3 things you're looking forward to?
Let's see. So, of course, I am really looking forward to the visual effects. We already talked about it. The bending looks good. The animals look good. I can't wait to see all of the action scenes. And Netflix, I really hope you don't make the scenes too dark like a certain Game of Thrones episode. But I'm so pumped for the visual effects. I'm really looking forward to the character arcs. You know, I won't get into specifics, but I think the original cartoon did such a good job with character development. And there's one person specifically that I'm thinking of that I know fans, they know who I'm talking about. But let's just say Game of Thrones should have taken notes, because that was one thing that made me so mad after the end of Game of Thrones, is where certain characters ended up at the end, and just feeling like some characters, their character development just got thrown out the window. And I remember after finishing Game of Thrones, I immediately thought they should have taken notes from Avatar, because it just did such a good job with character stories and letting them grow and, you know, throughout all of the seasons. So that's my second. And then my third, of course, is the music. Just watching the trailer, the music just gave me chills. And, you know, a lot of this music we're familiar with because of the original show. But I'm interested to see some of the different arrangements that they'll do. And then also to see if there are any new songs as well. But yeah, I think the music is just going to be chef's kiss. I am so excited. So yeah, those are my top three. What about any concerns of yours? Do you have any concerns with how Netflix is going to handle this adaptation?
Right now, I trust Netflix. I have zero concerns. I think this is going to be great. I think it's good for Avatar, and I think it's going to be great, you know, bringing in new people to watch this. But I don't have any concerns.
None at all.
I'm going to say it again. I'm hyped.
Along for the ride.
I'm excited. I don't know what other words we can use.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if I have total trust in Netflix, only because I feel like there are more not so great adaptations than there are great adaptations at this time. But I think it's going to be all about finding the balance between everything that the fans want and making good live action TV, because not everything from a cartoon is going to translate well to live action. So I don't think it should lean so far one way or the other. Like, it can't, for me, I don't think it needs to be a one-for-one remake, but I also hope that Netflix doesn't forget, you know, the fans that have loved Avatar for so many years. So I think I'm concerned about them being able to find that balance, and also just keeping, like I mentioned before, keeping the well-developed character arcs from the original. But anyways, speaking of characters, which ones do you feel have been cast the best? Like, who are your favorite casting choices?
Well, so far, Aang would be my favorite. Without going too in depth, but Sokka, just from the trailer, he's got some humor. And also, I really like how Zuko looks. I think from what I envision to what I've seen, it's what I pictured. Yeah, his character. As far as anything else, you're gonna have to wait till next week, because we don't know much just by watching the trailer.
Yeah.
How about you? Which ones do you feel have been cast the best?
I think my favorite would be... I want to say all of them, but that's such a cop-out. I want to say for Uncle Iroh, when they announced their casting of Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, I immediately thought that was a very wise choice. I don't think they could have picked a more perfect Uncle Iroh. And then Daniel Day Kim as Ozai. And Zuko. All of them. I don't know. All of them. I think they've all been cast pretty well. I'm pretty excited. And of course, Aang. Our sweet little Aang. Our sweet little Aangie. So, yeah.
It's Aang.
Don't even. Oh my gosh, you just triggered a bunch of people.
I'm just joking. I'm just playing.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a moment now to read some comments from you guys. So what we did was we put a question out there, just, whether or not you all have high hopes for this show and what you're looking forward to the most. And we put it across different social media platforms. So we got a lot of great comments. I wish we could read all of them, but then that would just take way too long. We're already a little bit over what we're supposed to be right now. But yeah, we just wanted to read some of them and reply to some of you guys. So let's go to the first one. Wes, do you want to read the first one?
I will. This is from Dan C. from North America, and he is part of the Earth Kingdom. Here we go. I have hopes for it. I'm reserving some judgment until I see it. But I'm taking the day off from work to binge it all for my anniversary. Hey, happy anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary. That's a great way to spend an anniversary, I'm just saying. So we also have Phil over on Instagram, which, by the way, is player 451 in Squid Game The Challenge. I don't know if you knew that, Wes, but that's one show we also need to watch too, because I love Netflix this original set Squid Game. But over on Instagram, they said, I am so excited for this show. It really seems like everyone involved with making it is a huge fan and wants to make it as beautiful of a show as possible. And I high-key think it's too big to fail. They're really throwing their whole Netflix sussy into this thing. I'm beyond stoked. And Phil says that they are part of the Air Nomads, so...
See, I'm with Phil. They've got the right idea, okay? Go into this very optimistic and very hyped.
Yep, I agree. And I also think Phil was the runner-up for the Squid Game show. So.
No spoilers?
Oh, my bad. We need to watch it, though, because we haven't. But I love Squid Game.
Thank you, Phil.
Original show, so. Alrighty, do you want to read the next one?
This next one is from Rebecca S. from BC, Canada. My feelings toward this series have kind of been on a roller coaster. When I read the creators have left the project, I was pretty well ready to write it off. After I saw the trailer, I actually started to feel rather excited. It looked different, but still fun and with some heart. Even though the question of why the original creator left for creative differences was still burning in the back of my brain, with some of the statements that have been released in the past couple of weeks, I'm conflicted. I don't want to be as dismissive as I first was, but trailer or not, it's not looking promising anymore. I'll watch an episode or two before I pass official judgment, but my hype has been quite dampened.
Fair enough. I mean, I think those feelings are valid. To be honest, I'm kind of the same. My feelings have been a roller coaster since finding out about this years ago. So yeah, but roller coasters are fun.
I am not passing judgment.
Is that your answer?
I don't know.
Single
I'm hoping it changes. I hope it changes one way or the other to be definitive, but I am putting my trust in Netflix.
Alrighty, so we have Dakota E, and they said, do I have high hopes? No, not at all. Netflix has multiple times ruined a fandom by insulting the fandom and then going against what we want. I also lost all expectations when the creators walked away from it for quote-unquote creative differences. Same reason my boy walked away from The Witcher, and that was obliterated. So I'm guessing he's talking about Henry Cavill. I kind of feel the same way about that. And they go on to say, no, I don't have high hopes. Being said, I'll probably still watch it and probably will enjoy the small amount of things they do get right.
Thank you, Dakota. This is from Emily F. from Australia. I have very high hopes for the live action. From what's been shown so far, everything looks amazing and authentic. I'm most looking forward to the bending, Zuko's arc, in Katang.
Okay.
Oh,
for those who don't know, that's a ship name. We won't get into it now because, we will get to ships at a later point in time.
I feel like someone's going to be like, he doesn't know what Katang is.
Trust me. Oh, we know Katang. We won't get into it because we're going to go round and round. So we will put a pin in that for when we cross that. Did I just put two different sayings together? Put a pin. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. How about that? Alrighty, so now we have Anna A. from Arizona, and they said, I'm honestly really excited for the series. I'll be going in like I would a series with parallel universes, though. They're going to change things. Certain plot details are going to be different or lost. It's a different medium with greater limitations. Perfect for viewing as an alternate/parallel universe rather than hoping for a carbon copy of the original series. Because let's be honest, no one can actually touch the original. It's too good. I'm really excited to see how they handle Azula in the first season, since that is one difference from the original show they've been open about. I think Azula's story is tragic and must be handled with care. I really hope they treat it right. And they claim that they are from the Fire Nation. I actually agree with Anna or Anna, whichever way you say it, about the fact that no one can really touch the original.
I feel like she nailed it. They nailed it. I love this comment.
I do too. The original cartoon is its own thing, and then this show is like a separate thing.
I'm glad she's open-minded. I think they understand that it's not going to be a carbon copy, which is not what we want, really.
Some people, I will say some people do, and then some people don't. Everybody's different.
Just watch the cartoon then. Honestly, if you're looking for a carbon copy, we're watching this because it's going to be something new, right? A new take on what we love.
Yeah.
This is from Tara N. from Arkansas. I had high hopes for it until they came out with the character development from the original Avatar: The Last Airbender being trashed for Aang, Katara, and Sokka. Aang not facing his training, Katara being the mom of the group, and how that affected her, and removing how Sokka was misogynistic from the start and grew out of it. It's how they even found Aang in the first place. So I went from that to reserved, but still going to watch it with my hopes dashed.
Okay.
And they are Lava Bender, Earth Kingdom. That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be Earth Kingdom,
That's
right?
awesome.
Lava Bender.
Yeah.
Whoa. Alrighty, well, thank you, Tara or Tara. So we're here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so Casey B said, once I heard that Bryke, that's Brian and Mike, the original creators, Bryke left because of creative differences, I personally lost my hope that it was going to be a good adaptation. However, I did watch the trailer after holding off on watching it for a while, and it did make it slightly more hopeful, so we'll see what happens. And then they go on to say that they are a proud member of the Earth Kingdom.
Nice. This is from Sam W. Kaiser, Oregon?
I think that's how you say it.
Kaiser? I have high hopes for the Netflix version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. After seeing the main characters that have been chosen, Gordon Cormier seems to embody Aang with a smile that lights the path ahead for us Avatar Ultra fans and new ones alike.
Agreed.
And they are Northern Water Tribe.
Oh, Northern Water Tribes. Very specific. Oh. Alrighty.
What a great comment.
We agree. We already love Aang. So now we have, I believe it's pronounced Sarisha G, said, I was honestly on the fence about it. However, when I saw the One Piece live action on Netflix, and it actually turned out pretty good, and that's coming from someone who's a huge anime fan, it gave me hope that perhaps it won't suck. After seeing the trailer and getting to hear the voices of the live action actors, except for Daniel Day Kim, I'm sorry, but is his voice going to be as deep and sinister as Mark Hamill's was for Ozai? That was the only thing about him I'm actually concerned about. I was further convinced that I'd probably try to watch this with an open mind, possibly, especially after seeing how much better the bending is. So yeah, I guess One Piece is one live action that, from what I've heard from big fans of the original, Netflix did get right. That's one that I've been wanting to watch, but I have not seen the original, but I think it's something I would enjoy. So,
agreed.
So yeah, and like I said, I'm excited to see Daniel Day Kim. I don't have any opinion on his voice being not like Mark Hamill's. And for those who don't know, Mark Hamill was the original voice actor for Ozai, and also, of course, Luke Skywalker.
What's that?
What?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh my gosh.
I think worried about how deep someone's voice is going to be. I mean, I'm okay with that.
You're okay with how Daniel Day Kim sounds? Did we even hear him? I don't even think.
I don't think so,
but I can't remember.
I mean,
I think
that's such a small thing to worry about, but hey.
So it's a concern, but not necessarily a big concern. So yeah.
Our next one's from Esther F. from Alabama. I'm optimistically cautious. From what they are showing, it looks like it's going to be good. But since the original creators backed out, I'm a little nervous. We've been burnt before. And they are Water Tribe.
Burned before, no pun intended.
I mean...
And they, you know that what they're talking about is the live-action movie that burned all of us.
Didn't burn me when I was a kid.
All right, moving on.
By the way, why is everyone so concerned with the original creators backing out?
Because it seems like that the live adaptations of other things that have actually turned out well is because of having the original creators be part of it. Take Last of Us, for example. The showrunner worked closely with the creator of the video game to put out the show, and in my opinion, the show was amazing. I think I've heard the same thing about One Piece, that the creator was involved in that as well. So people think that with them backing out, that the show is not going to be what fans want, because obviously who knows the show better than the creators?
Or, the millions of people that watch the cartoons. I mean, you have such a huge plethora of episodes to go through that how could you get it wrong?
Yeah, but I think there's something to say that if the creators walk away and pretty much spoke negatively about that experience, because based on their letter, it just didn't sound good. I think it's fair to be worried about it. So...
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, so we have Rachel M. from the Philippines. Hey! And they said, I haven't watched the trailer yet, but from what I've heard, I'm a little worried about the show removing Aang and Sokka's character development. And they said they are air nomad. So what do you think?
Think we can't jump to conclusions about what we're going to see.
Yeah,
as far as character development.
I think that's fair.
Our next one's from Devin Z. What makes me sad is the fan base. All I see is people bringing up the original creators left, as if they're the only competent people in the industry. Doesn't mean it can't be a good show without them. I say hold judgment until it releases. In all honesty, I can't imagine anybody wanting to touch Avatar unless they had the thought they could really do a good job. Especially because of the hate that movie got.
Wow, I feel like you could have written this.
I feel like Devin and I were connected.
Did you guys just become best friends?
I think so. But what a good point, though. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And also, what a great point on, who's going to touch this? You've watched Avatar.
M. Night Shyamalan.
That was a great point, though. Who's going to touch this unless you're going to do a great job? You're not putting
You mean knowing, because I think what Devin, you're trying to say is because of the hate that the movie got, nobody would want to touch this unless they knew that they could do a better job, right? Is that what you mean?
I agree. That's I agree with what they're saying.
All right, and then we have Chelsea M, and they said, I assume it's not a popular opinion, but no, I'm not super pumped. I'll catch it, of course. I can place some trust in Netflix that it may be done well, ? Maybe. But ultimately, it's part of this larger trend of, quote, live action remake because nostalgia sells. I struggle to think of any straight remakes that were actually good unless they had a very specific reason for being remade besides ... profit. And, like a lot of Disney remakes, whether folks realize it or not, part of the show's magic is in fact in the art of animation, which the talking heads are very quick to dismiss as being childish. I would love to be proven wrong, but also I'm not here to argue, just to provide an opinion that was asked for. It will all just be speculation until it premieres regardless. So what do you think? Do you think that, especially in this day and age of a lot of remakes, do you think that's becoming too much of a thing? Do you think that a lot of remakes don't need to happen and that it's just to make money?
Of course, everything's about making money.
Yeah, that's true.
And it sucks that we've been burned so many times. But on the other hand, it's what we all want. They know what we want. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you want to read the next one?
This next one is from Ben H. from Anchorage, Alaska. I have very high hopes. I recognize there have been a lot of changes circling around, but they don't deter me. A lot of them were just necessary in adapting to a broader audience or to live action. Overall, I have a lot of faith that while this won't be a beat-for-beat remake, it'll still be great. Great comment.
I agree. And because I don't want a beat-for-beat remake, so yeah. And then our last one, and hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. If not, I apologize. But it's from Narayan S. And I think they speak for all of us when they say, Netflix, you better not F this one up.
They won't.
We'll see.
I'm so excited you guys are optimistic.
Alrighty. Like I said, I wish we could read all the comments we got, but we do need to be wrapping this up soon. But before we do, I did give people the option to leave a voice message answering the same question. And we did get one from a Rose. So, Rose, let's hear what you have to say.
Hello, my name is Rose LaBelle, and I am from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And I am part of the Fire Nation. For me, I think I'm most excited about something from my childhood being brought to life with some of my favorite actors of, very recent shows. So I'm very excited to see Uncle Iroh, Kim's Convenience. Me and my husband just love that show. I'm excited to see Zuko, who is Soju in Pen 15, and I just think the cast looks really wonderful. Me and my best friend actually have a whole slumber party planned around the premiere because this is really healing our inner child. We're both in our late 20s now, and I think it's good to keep the community alive and well, and I have high hopes for it. I can't wait to see it.
That was awesome, Rose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose, for your voice message. And we hope that you'll leave us another one for future podcast episodes. And for anybody else that's listening, you had the option to do that as well. We would love to play your message right here on our podcast. And Rose, you brought up a good point. One of the cool things about this is keeping the community and the fandom alive, just by, talking about the show. And also, I want to go to the slumber party.
No joke. Can we put some PJs on?
Can I get
a little wine?
You know what we should have seen if anyone around us is doing a watch party. There has to be watch parties going on somewhere. So if anyone's attending one and you dress up, we want to see pictures.
What's a snack choice for watching Avatar?
Fire flakes. What would be hot Cheetos? Hot Cheetos.
That's what Bear would be going for.
Oh yeah, her favorite snack is hot Cheetos. So maybe she's Fire Nation.
Maybe. I mean, she will never admit that, but yes.
That leads me to my next question for you before we wrap things up. What type of bender do you think you would be and why?
Okay. So, without spoiling anything, this will be very hard for me because
why?
I find myself aligning with a character that we haven't met, but we've talked about.
Okay.
So, without saying too much,
so just Earth King.
Earth.
You'd be an Earthbender.
I would be just slightly better than Toph.
Oh, okay. That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
No, I think Earthbenders are the best. So, with that being said, what about you?
Okay, I have two answers for you. First and foremost, I would say I would be a waterbender because since I was a kid, I have always been obsessed with water and how it looks and how it moves and how light hits water. And as a kid, it was always my favorite element. And I love the relationship between the moon and water. I don't know, maybe blame Sailor Moon. I think that's where it first started. But always loved water as an element. Obsessed with it. Plus, I think waterbenders are pretty adaptive, and fluid, and I feel like that would be my element. But I also think as a second answer, I would have to also be a little bit Earth Kingdom. Mainly because I'm a Taurus, I was born in spring. I am just a little bit stubborn and hard-headed.
No, you're perfect.
Okay, trying to kiss butt. No, I thought you were going to say, no, you were very stubborn and very hard-headed.
I would never say that to your face.
Sure. But yeah, and my birthstone's an emerald, so I just think, I don't know, what would water and earth be together? Mud? Am I a mud bender?
Hey, has there ever been a lava bender and metal bender? Like,
well, lava bender is both are Earth, so I don't know. I'm sure that maybe somewhere in the comics and the novels, there's something. I wouldn't be surprised. So
people are gonna.
Yes. Okay. And then I want to know, who is your favorite character?
Well, I think you already know who my favorite character is.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Toph.
As a kid, it was Aang. Mm-hmm. Okay, because, he's the superhero. But, and then you got Toph. But, I mean, she's not in this episode.
Yeah.
Or,
Her season that we know of.
That we know of. Correct. So if I had to pick just in the season, it would be Aang. Because he's the best, what we all inspire to be. Kind, loving.
Unless you
and
are
doesn't want to kill anyone. Who is your favorite character?
My favorite character, even as a kid, is Zuko. Always been. Because I love his character development. But he was my favorite, which is kind of funny because I said for me,
please
water,
elaborate. Like, how?
You said water. I said that I'm water. I don't know. Opposites attract. Okay. To be completely honest, as a kid, you know how we all have like cartoon crushes and stuff?
No, that's weird.
That's bull. You never had a cartoon crush at some point in your life, like as a kid.
I feel like I need to wash my hands.
But I feel like everybody has had a cartoon crush at some point. But mine was Zuko at that time. It was one of them anyways. So
make this awkward.
I'm just saying. So maybe you need a scar. Is
it the scar? Is that what?
I don't know. I think.
Or is that he's a bad boy?
It was his. Because I can change him. Because, I mean, I don't think I liked him from the very start. But I think as we saw more of him throughout the seasons, I loved his story. And that's all I'll say about that. So.
All right, Pauline. Any last thoughts before we close out our very first episode?
I mean, no, I think we've said it all. I think we've established that we are excited. We're pumped. We're hyped. All the excitement words. I think someone said it well earlier that they are cautiously optimistic. So that would be me as well. And I know you have high hopes for this adaptation. So.
Just let go of any of your cautiousness and just
enjoy
it.
I think I will enjoy it. If I can see this show as its own thing and try to separate a little bit my feelings of the original.
We had a comment. It's like another timeline, but it's just enjoy it.
I think we will. And we're excited to see how everybody else responds to it as well. So, okay, let's wrap this up.
Let's do it. All right, guys, that concludes our very first episode of our show. Thanks for listening. We're so excited to begin this journey with you after waiting so many years, and we hope you'll continue with us. It's going to be a fun ride. Again, if you don't want to miss out on any upcoming episodes, make sure to subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or any other favorite podcast apps you use. And leave us a review while you're there. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and we also want you to join in on the conversation, so make sure to follow our socials. We're at Avatar Nation Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we'll periodically share posts asking for your feedback about each episode of Avatar, and we'll make sure to read some of them on future podcast episodes, because like we said, we want to be able to engage with all of you guys and all of the fans, so yeah. With that said, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Wes.
And you've been listening to Avatar Nation. See you next time.
Love ya.